wow, I didn't expect to cry. This is unfiltered Willow. I just had knee surgery. I just broke my ankle and had my whole soccer career shattered beneath my feet. That felt like I had just gone through the hardest chapter of my life. And then boom, I lose my mom. And I was like, huh, so what do you do? No matter what you go through in life, God will help you through. He did with me. I was done. But then I had this random idea because I had always loved running and I had always wanted to maybe run in college. Yeah, I was like, what if I ran in college instead, Maybe this soccer thing isn't right anymore. And that was crazy because I had devoted everything to soccer for as long as I can remember, since I was 3 years old. As an NCAA athlete, I don't know how the rules are now, but when I was in the game, you had 5 years to play 4 years of a sport, essentially. So you had that extra year just in case you got hurt, red shirt, whatever. I had done 3 years of soccer, so I'd only have 1 year of soccer left. But I'd never ran before. So technically, I had 2 years of running left. So I was getting extra eligibility to run. And I was like, dude, that's so sick. So at that point, I was like, I'm sold on this. I'm gonna run for my last year at Gonzaga. I reached out to the cross-country coach. I was like, hey, and Stu, you better watch this. This is the guy I'm gonna name drop. He is the GOAT. I remember I texted him. It was actually the wrong number. He didn't respond, so I was tweaking, and I was like, frick, he's not responding. Then a teammate of mine gave me the actual number of Coach Stu. I was like, hi, I'm Willow. I'm on the soccer team. I really wanna run for you guys. And can we meet, Coach Stu brings me into his office. He had already talked to the soccer coach, and he's like, I just remember sitting down and I was about to basically pitch myself as an athlete and be like, okay, I know you don't know me and I'm not a runner, and he was just like, we're gonna make this work. You know that, right? And I just thought that was awesome. I didn't have to sell myself to him. He was like, yeah, you're on the team. We're gonna figure this out. It was really funny. I remember the first email from him to the team was like, hey, we have Willow from soccer coming to join us. And that was a really interesting transition because Gonzaga's small. I'd cross paths with my soccer team all the time. And obviously I had to tell them what I was doing. I just remember the first couple practices, all we did was run around Spokane, Washington on these dirt trails and talk. And I was like, this is so fun. This is great. It wasn't till later that I realized it's really freaking hard too, but it was really fun at first. And my first ever race was a mile race, an indoor mile. And I won. I got 4:51, which I had no idea I could break 5 minutes at the time. And I remember after that race, Coach Stu came up to me and was like, stay the next 18 months and let's see what you could do. And that felt just start of a crazy movie, training montage. I had chills at the time. I was like, oh my gosh, this coach believes in me. I can do this. And it felt so good because when I was playing soccer, I felt so demoralized as an athlete. I remember literally telling my dad and other people, I feel like my potential is being squandered. And that's a horrible feeling to have. So now I had this new opportunity to become the athlete I dreamed of and who I knew I could be. And it was really exciting. The only thing I can chalk up this experience of switching from soccer to running was just complete prayers answered, God sent. Even when I was feeling really sad as a soccer player, I had this internal calling that was telling me, you're gonna be directed towards a path and it's gonna be worthwhile. Just kind of stay the course, endure, and you're gonna make it through the other side. And I did, and it was beautiful. I remember going to Seattle and breaking the 3K school record. And I was on cloud 9, texting my mom, being like, Mom, this is all because of you. You got me into running.
Here comes our leader, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready to cross the finish line. Let's root on now.
Which she did. That's that's how I became a good runner. Was when I was a kid, my mom was into running and she was a beast. She'd go run all the time, wherever, all over Utah. And she even ran a marathon. Like, she just raw dogged it, didn't do a race, just went and ran a marathon one day. And I was so inspired by her. And so I wanted to go with her all the time. And she took me along. And so I remember texting her after that, the day I broke the school record, and being like thank you for introducing me to running. And she, humbly was like, oh, it's all you. But I remember being like so in my feels at that time, being like, it's just so beautiful. Like, I just remember running next to her when I was a kiddo. I'm getting a little verklempt, so I apologize, but I do want this to be unfiltered so you guys understand me and kind of what I've been through. But a week after I broke that 3K record, my mom passed away tragically. And I still don't really feel comfortable saying how. Let's just say, worst case scenario, was not expecting it. So it's hard to speak about. It's hard to reflect on even, but I've obviously done a lot of both. And it was just crazy to have such a cloud nine experience. And then, phew, like a week later, I'm getting a phone call that is my worst nightmare. Something I couldn't even have had a nightmare about. It was worse than I could have ever fathomed. And that was crazy. I don't even know what to say. So here I was. I just had this very profound experience, very faith-driven experience, and it really solidified my faith in God and like my direction in life. And I was feeling super good. I was like, I am a runner now. I am a boss. Like, I can do these things. And then I was like, hold on, wait a second. Like, I just had knee surgery. I just like broke my ankle and had my whole soccer career shattered beneath my feet. At the time, that felt like I had just gone through the hardest chapter of my life. And I finally made it to the end of the chapter, turned the page, and now I was like into a good chapter, the running chapter, right? And then boom, I lose my mom. And I was like, huh. Yeah. So what do you do? Like, yeah. Just processing. I don't know how I really want to talk about. The day that I got that phone call and rushed to a small hospital in Idaho, where there were 2 to 3 days of just hell. That's the only way I can describe it. But what I'll tell you is, even when I felt like I was in the depths of hell, it was running that kept me grounded. And I literally remember running laps around this hospital and thinking to myself, like, because I liked David Goggins and Jocko and all of them, and I was like, would David Goggins be doing this? Maybe, But I was like, right now I feel harder than David Goggins. It probably wasn't healthy, but one thing my coach had told me, this is after the fact, but he said there's no one right way to do this. And that stuck with me. So at the moment, it's like what I needed was to clear my head at times and go out for a run. And I did. So I took some time off, not of training. I kept running. I took some time away from school for 2 weeks. I think that was it. Went home to Utah for the funeral, and it was all blur. But the last thing that I know she would have wanted was for this to derail my life. She would have hated that. She was my biggest supporter and believed I could do anything. And I wanted to make her proud still. I knew that God had placed this challenge in my life for a very specific reason. And I knew that I had to rise, that I couldn't let this break me. I was stronger, and that that God was going to carry me through it, and that my people were going to carry me through it. I hope that you're listening to this. I hope you made it this far into the video, because if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, is that like no matter what you go through in life, God will help you find a way through. He did with me. But I kept training, and a month later, I broke the school record in the 5K. Just kidding. No, but really, like, gosh, if I were my own friend, I'd be proud. And I think it's important to like sometimes use those mental frameworks to like view yourself. I guess it was 2 years ago, so that's a different Willow than I am today, but I'm proud of her. I just did it. I kept going, and I kept competing, and I ended up making it to the NCAA first round for outdoor track and broke the school record in the 1500 meter with a time of 4:16, and I was still an athlete. But more importantly, that day something shifted in me where the importance of sport was still there, but it wasn't everything anymore. And that's been very profound, and I'm very glad. So life will throw you lemons. Life will give you hard lessons to learn. But if you're willing to embrace them and endure whatever path you're on, the person that you'll become on the other side is worth it. The people you gain and grow with along the way, it's all worth it. And also I'll say that like this experience broke down that barrier and that wall that made me think I had to do everything on my own. I really started leaning into people, friends, family, random people. Like I just really started to connect with people on a deeper level. And I think anyone that goes through really hard times kind of comes out the other side with that deep, I call it empathetic power. You see people in a deeper way, not just like, oh, that's so-and-so from the store or the gym. That was a daughter or son of God. And I started to really appreciate that and the beauty of everybody that was in my life. So, but back to sport. So this is about college athletics. Yeah, balled out that track season, came back the fall, my first cross country season ever. Oh wait, I totally forgot an important part of the story. So after that track season, you forgot, my original intention was to transfer for grad school. So that was the plan. My coach supported me with it. This is how it was awkward. I'd finished track in the spring. I was going to be in the portal for summer, run for Gonzaga in the fall, and then the next year go somewhere else. So very weird. But alas, I went into the transfer portal not knowing what to expect, and it was crazy. Boom, psh, psh, psh. Everyone I could have imagined, you know, Alabama, Florida, Duke, Tennessee, Arkansas, Washington State, you know, USC, UCLA, all these schools. I was like, what? You want me? Offering me money, also money, NIL. Wow, I had no idea what to expect, and that was like, what? So I was doing all these phone calls, picturing my life in all these different places, decided and narrowed it down to 4 different schools to go on a visit trip. So I went from TCU to Tennessee, to Boston College, to Wisconsin, and back home. And all those schools were great. I ended up committing to Wisconsin at the time. I loved Madison, I loved the coach and the girls that I met, and I pictured myself there. So I committed to Wisconsin. Then I come back to Spokane to run cross country with Gonzaga. And during that time I was like, I need to go home. Home as in Utah. Be back with my family, my friends. I need to be closer to home. I don't want to go to the middle of the Midwest right now. So, and now that I'm in Chicago, I'm glad I did that. I was not ready for it at the time. I decommitted from Wisconsin and I committed to the Utes, Utah Utes, which is going to be in Salt Lake City, close to where I'm from. Signed with them and everything. And then I was fickle. You know, at the time I just gone through a crazy freaking spring, like give the girl a break. Everyone did. Everyone was very kind and God bless them for that. But I committed to the Utes, signed with them, and then I was like, I don't know. My coach at Gonzaga was like, hey, you can go back to Utah and train there and still compete for us. Because all my school was going to be online anyways. And I was like, you mean I can have my cake and eat it too? Sure. No, but it was an interesting setup, but we were willing to make it work for the benefit of me and for the program at the time. So I had basically every opportunity in front of me to go anywhere I wanted, other than Stanford, who I really wanted, but they didn't want me. Whatever, just kidding. I could have gone to like any of the big schools and gotten that clout, you know, been Alabama Roll Tide or whatever, but I stayed at Gonzaga. 14-year-old Willow, you know, verbally committing, stayed at Gonzaga the whole time, which was, I think, is really cool. I'm a Zag till I die, so stayed at Gonzaga. We won another WCC championship that fall. I was first team, was all region. We went to nationals. We were the best team in program history for the cross country team. And I was like, dang, got to do that in soccer. Now I get to do this with running. And it was amazing. And then I went back to Utah and I trained for track on my own. That was weird, but you know, we made it work. I still got 2 PRs. I PR'd in the mile. I PR'd in the 5K. I still made it to regionals. I doubled at regionals for the NCAAs, and I ran the 1500 meter and the 5K. The heat. Tell me, why does the NCAA do track regionals in the peak heat states in May? Like, it was in Arkansas one year and then Texas the other year. Both years bonked in my race because I just suck in the humidity. Like, I just get zapped. The second year that I was running, I actually took the race out for the 5K and I was in the front. And like, there's some really good runners in this heat. But I was like, maybe if I go to the front, because it's a sit and kick, it's a championship style race, you know? I was like, maybe if I like keep this pace kind of slow, people won't go crazy. And I did, and I still died. I think I ran like a 16:30, which isn't horrible, but was not near my PR. So after that, I had one more season left, and that was cross country. My coach and I decided it would be best if I moved back to Spokane for my final season, because track was kind of a different situation compared to cross country. Cross country is team-based, so like you race your top 7, top 5 score, and there's just like that team dynamic that you don't have, I feel like, with outdoor track as much, at least at our school. And so we were like, it's probably best if you come back. At the time, it was like, so I could get better because I was kind of struggling training on my own. But I think more importantly, just to have that, you know, that good team dynamic and being involved with the girls. And it was my last season. So it's like, I want to be with them and soak it up. And it was such a, you know, on paper, it wasn't our best season. We ended up getting second in the WCC. We didn't qualify for nationals. I still got the same place. I got 7th both years at conference championships, and then I was still all region for the regional division. I still did well. I wasn't like, you know, I didn't nail it, but I was good. I was like one of the top runners in the West Coast at least. So on paper it was a decent season, but for me it was like one of my favorite seasons just as an athlete, because I was finally at peace with results. I finally had gotten over like this season needs to look this way, and if it doesn't look this way, then I'm a failure. And I was more just like, come what may, I'm going to put in the work and see what happens. I kind of think I coined this phrase, but I kept saying detach from the outcome but not the pursuit. So detach from the outcome but not the pursuit. Meaning, I can't control that I'm going to get this position in the race or our team's going to make it to nationals, but I can control how I show up day in, day out and the person that I am. So that was very freeing, and more importantly, I just feel like my connections with my teammates were a lot deeper, and I enjoyed myself, and I was a leader, and it was a great time. So yeah, it didn't end like a Cinderella story. I didn't make nationals. But I remember finishing that last race, and I was like, dang, I'm done. Just like that, 5 years, all of what we just talked about happened, and just whoop. Then what? Bum, bum, ba-da. You already know what's what after that, because I told you about doing my first marathon 2 weeks later after my cross country. 2 weeks after. Everyone's like, oh, you weren't training for a marathon? I was like, no, I was training because I was doing cross country training. But yeah, And then High Rocks, here we are. So High Rocks is a similar story where it's like, I went from soccer to running and now to High Rocks. And it's just fun. I'm just riding the wave, guys. Like, I don't really know what life will bring, and because of what I've gone through and the experiences that I just explained to you, I'm really just open to what God brings into my life. And I'm gonna keep doing what I do, which is working hard and trying to get myself into the best positions I can for good opportunities to present themselves. But at the end of the day, I don't have control over what happens, and I'm just living. That was my college experience. If you made it this far into the video, kudos to you. I hope you enjoyed it. This is obviously just my random story, but it's pretty unique. I mean, I didn't expect my college experience to incorporate all of these elements, and that little 14-year-old that committed to Gonzaga had no idea what she was in for, and it was a whirlwind, but I cannot express anything but gratitude, I think, for what I experienced and just the opportunities I had. It's such a blessing to be a college athlete. It's so cool, and to get my schooling paid for and develop relationships with people that I had previously never known that are like gonna be in my life forever. The mentorship I've gotten through my coaches, especially Coach Stu. If you're still listening, which I don't know if you will be, but if you are, you the GOAT. All these people, and you know who you are if you're listening, like, I just love you guys. And it's been so beautiful to be part of the Gonzaga family and have that journey. But if anyone out there is listening that's a previous college athlete, my question to you is, what are you doing now? Are you training for High Rocks? Because I bet you are. Or an Ironman or a marathon? Because once you have that like mentality of like the college athlete requires, it doesn't just go away. Like, you lose that system, but then you just like go straight into something else. So curious what you're up to. If you're a current college athlete and listening to this, enjoy it. It's so cliche, and I remember everyone telling me that crap, like, it goes by so fast. And you're like, brother, you're just old. It goes by fast, but very slow in a way. Like, really soak up what you're doing and like the opportunity you have. Like, you're getting not paid, but well, some of you guys are getting paid for sure. But you're getting stuff paid for you to just go compete and do the sport you love and get an education and make friends and get fed and all these things. Like, it's so freaking sick. Like, soak it up, enjoy your time, advocate for yourself. I think that's something I would have told my younger self sooner. Like, yes, your sport matters, but your mental and physical, spiritual, holistic health is number one, always. And do not let a team, teammates, coaches, athletic departments, whatever, don't let any of that get in the way of like your well-being. But more importantly, just enjoy and put yourself in a position to succeed and make decisions that align with your values. I could keep going down a rabbit hole, but maybe I could do a different video for that. If that's something you guys would be interested in, let me know in the comments below. And if you're not a college athlete, curious what you thought about this. You know the drill. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, comment, all the things. Number one though is like and subscribe. Big shout out to Gonzaga University and athletics. Obviously, if you listen to this whole video, my journey was not perfect, but the people in that community, especially, the athletic department and the top people in there, really helped me and were really great to me. And I'm very grateful that I chose Gonzaga back in 2017 as a 14-year-old. I had no idea what it would entail, but I loved every step of the journey, even when it was tough. So thank you, Gonzaga, for everything. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Wow. This goes